Hey there, welcome back to my channel. So let's continue with our series. In this episode, we are going to work on our front-end application where we will hook up all the available APIs, all the available backend APIs with our front-end application. So this is the final outcome of our front-end application. So we are going to handle everything, we are going to cover everything. But today in this episode, we are particularly focusing on the customer onboarding part, where we will sign up our customer, we will log in our customer, and we will try to become a seller where we can create our products, right? Then step by step, we are going to handle the rest of all the features as well as, right? As soon as our backend APIs will be going to be ready, then we will try to hook it up one by one. As you can see here, we have our categories, right? So here, all the categories are displaying very nicely, right? It has a title, it has image, right? And those title and images, these are coming from our backend, right? And similarly, in the product section also, you can see we have our product image, we have our product title, and we have our price as well as. So all those stuff also, it's coming from our backend. And those images, the category image and product images, and along with this banner image as well as, we're storing in our cloud storage. As an example, we are going to use the S3 bucket where all these images will be patched out from there only, right? So in that case, we're going to store all these image URLs in our S3 bucket. But for that thing, we will be digging deeper a little bit on how we can upload images using the backend APIs, right? So let's dig with the plan. So far, we have already accomplished our backend APIs for customer onboarding. So let's try to hook up all those stuff. So this is our front-end project, right? The name is buy sell. Okay. So this project source code, you can get it from the description below. And right before jumping into the code, let's try to understand the whole project structure and where and what are the things we need to make changes to in order to hook up all the backend APIs. Let's try to understand that. All right, so this is our source code. So inside this source code, you can see we have two directories. One is called public and another one is called source, right? So src. And we have a couple of files here, right? So let's try to have a look at all the files and directories. So here in the files, you can see we have one package.json file, which is going to help us to understand what are the dependencies we are going to use in this application. You can see we have plenty of dependencies we have been used here, right? So along with the Axios moment and our Redux toolkit as well as, right? And we have used our Stripe.js, that is we have been used to collect the payment, right? And here in the couple of dev dependencies also there, which is we are going to use for development purpose, right? So as soon as you are finished the development and as soon as you are building the whole application, then all the dependencies is going to build to a kind of a common JS file. So we don't care about the development dependencies afterward, right? And while we are going to start our application, we can see we are adding some kind of configuration that is called port 3030. So because while we are working with the React.js application, then by default port is always 3000. And then by any chance, it is not always going to be a good practice to keep the default port, because maybe that 3000 port is going to occupy by some other processes, right? So that's why we need to make sure we need to keep a kind of customized port for that, right? So your application always, it will be run on that precisely that particular port, right? And while it comes to run the application in server, then also you can configure the whole port thing right here. But what we can do, let's say we are going to keep it like this way. So the start will be going to default, right? React script start. Then we can say dev. This is going to be dev. And while we are going to run our dev script, then it will going to spin our 3000 port 3030. And while we are going to start our application, it is going to start in port 3000 by default port, right? And now, as you can see, we have dependencies, but we have not installed yet, right? So let's try to install all the dependencies first. And so to install the dependency, you can type yarn install, or you can just simply type yarn. Perfect. So our dependencies are installed correctly. You can see we have our Node module directory here. So let's try to have a look inside the src directory, right? So I'm going to close everything. So inside the src directory, you can see we have a couple of files, right? So this project is written on TypeScript. So that's why you can see the extension, file extension is called tsx. So all the directories are meaningful. All the directories are responsible to hold certain type of files. So API is responsible to keep all the API related files, and component is responsible to keep all the UI components here, and images will hold all the required images for our application. And inside the pages, you can see all the web pages. What are the web pages are available for whole application? That is, we are keeping it right here, along with the card, category, deal, landing, login, etc. Right? So all the pages are here inside. And we have one file that is called Route Manager. So what Route Manager does, so Route Manager is going to help us to navigation through all the available pages. So some of the pages are public pages and some of the pages are protected pages, right? So all the protected pages you can access only once you are logging into to the application, right? So once you have certain token, then only you can access all the protected pages, just like we did for our backend endpoints, right? Then let's go to next directory. That is called state. So what exactly state is doing? So state is holding all the state related files where all the application, whole application is managing some kind of the global states. As an example, while we are our customer is adding item to the cart, then our cart component will get to know like customer has added that certain item right there. So let's try to increase the quantity from there. Then it will automatically increase the quantity in the cart also, right? So we are not doing a lot of prop dealings because prop dealing is a really bad idea. So rather than prop dealings, then you can use the notifications, or maybe you can use state management libraries, etc. Right? And the another thing, we have our types, right? So where we are keeping all the interfaces that is going to be used in our throughout of the application. And that is another directory that is called inside the types, that is called models. So where, as an example, while we are going to log in, then definitely you can see like we need to have our email, phone, password, and as soon as we are logged in, then maybe we need to patch our profile where we will get our token, ID, email, first name, last name, all these things we can just patch it out from there. So this kind of models, we are keeping it right here to deal with the data that is respond back from our backend service, right? And we have our util directory where we are just keeping our constant in terms of like what are the constants we are going to use throughout of the application, and some of the helpers we are using right here to patch it out all the images from the S3 URL by finding the image ID, right? So these are the things we are going to cover very soon, right? But now what we can do, let's try to spin the application. But before spin the application, make sure we have the proper environment variables. Alright, so right before spin the application, let's try to create one env file. So let's go to root directory of the whole project. So outside of the src directory. So here, what we are going to do, we are going to create one .env file, .env, and we will onboard all the environment variables that is going to be necessary to spin the whole application. So inside the util, you can see the app constant is there. So let's try to grab all these things from here, and let's go to our .env file. And this application, we are going to target it to deploy on the Amplify. So let's try to create the same type of the environment variable convention. So at least we can follow the same right there as well as, right? So first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to say React app S3 URL. So as of now, we don't have any S3 URL. So let's try to just like keep it like this way, right? So maybe in later stage, we are going to change this URL here, right? Then next, what we are going to do, we are going to say React app, and this is going to be our base URL. And as you can see, our backend it's going to be run on the localhost 9000. That's why we're just keeping it right there, right? And the next one is our product URL. So right now, we are not splitting our backend service to microservices, but for front end, we are going to keep all these URLs accordingly. So at least at some point, while we are going to split our backend, then definitely all the microservices URL we are going to replace right here, right? Then the third one is going to be our transaction URL. So those are the things we need to keep it right here. And let's try to keep it like this, this way, the environment file. And now what we are going to do, let's try to close it and let's go to app constant, and we can follow the same convention, right? So let's try to keep this way. Here we will be saying the process.env.react app base URL, right? This is our base URL, and this is going to be our process.f.react app product URL, and this is going to be transaction URL. Process.react.transaction URL. Perfect. So let's try to omit the whole line. Cool. Now we can move forward with the spin the whole application. All right. So now let's start our server, right? So here we are going to type yarn dev, right? Now can you see like our application is starting here in the localhost 3030, right? So our front-end application is ready here. And as you can see here in the navigation bar, we have one text field that is called the search product, where we can search all the product, all the categories, right? By typing the category name or product name here. So this text field, we are going to hook it up with our Elasticsearch that is going to be provided from our backend service, where we will get all the auto suggest of the products, right? So this is going to be a kind of cool feature where often the e-commerce applications are applying in this kind of feature in order to make sure the search capability of the application will be more faster rather than using the traditional database queries, right? So that part also we are going to cover. And in the right hand side, you can see we have our login, right? So where we can do login and sign up, right? So where we can onboard our user, and if we have an existing user, then we can use the login. And we have the cart functionality as well, as like once we have browsed our product, maybe we can add that particular product to the cart, right? Those are the features we are going to explore. But right now it seems like only front end is ready, but our backend is not yet ready, right? So we need to somehow spin our backend application, right? So let's go to our backend code. So here, this is our backend code. All the endpoints are ready so far, right? So at least we can access the user onboarding and login and become a seller or create the product. All those stuff are ready, right? So, but right before spin the server, let's try to configure a couple of things right here, right? So that the most essential thing is here, we need to enable the CORS setting. So what is exactly CORS? Maybe some of you are already familiar with the CORS, right? So CORS in terms of the CORS origin resource sharing. So why this CORS setting is needed? As you can see, our Go application may run in a different server, right? So in a different source or different origin. But our front-end application also, it will be deployed in some different server and different source and origin, right? So in this case, while our front-end application is going to communicate from that different source, right? Then front-end application is by default, it is not going to be allowed to communicate with the backend APIs, right? So the backend APIs, once you are going to call our backend APIs, then definitely the backend API will return some kind of errors, right? This is gonna say like, CORS error, right? To prevent this CORS error, so what we need to do, we need to somehow add those settings. So at least our backend will allow certain host. As an example, we are only accepting the connections, or we are only accepting the request from, let's say, www.buysell.com. So that is the particular domain we are going to allow right here. Or maybe we can allow it like any domain can communicate with our backend server, right? So these are the way we can do it, right? So let's try to do it, right? So here, let's go to the server, and here what we are going to do, we are going to install a couple of libraries here. Not couple of exactly, only one library we are going to install, right? So let's try to install that library. All right, so here what we are going to do, we are going to install go get github.com, go Fiverr v2, then we are going to say middleware CORS, right? So this is the library we need to add it, right? So now you can see it is added, right? And additionally, what happened, can you see Go has updated our library, like Fiverr. Earlier we have used the v2 49.2, and right now it is updated to v2 52.5. Because of this update, we need to do a little bit changes on somewhere. I'm gonna tell you where exactly we need to do this particular change. So let's try to spin our application, then you will get to know, right? So make server, let's say. Now can you see it is giving error, right? So let's go here and resolve it. And in the previous version, it is auth header while we are calling our get request header by that particular key or authorization header, then it was giving the auth header as a string, right? But now can you see it is giving a kind of string, like it's a kind of array of strings. So what we can do, we can simply say like the first element of this array, we can just grab it, right? Perfect. So now this is the way we can resolve it. Now let's go to our second error here. Here also we are going to do the same, right? Perfect. So now we can see it is complying and there is no any error. Let's try to save the file, close it, right? And now what we are going to do, let's try to stop the server and we are going to configure our course here, right? All right, so here inside the start server function, we are going to add our course configuration, right? So what we can do right after this database migration, so this will be the right place where we can put the configuration, right? So let me add the code quickly, then maybe we can discuss together. Perfect. So now can you see we have just created one variable that is called C for course, right? And we have added the configuration here, right? So make sure while you are adding this course, it has to be imported from the github.com/go-fiverr v2 middleware course, right? So this is the library has to be imported, right? So make sure this is correct. And inside this configuration, you can see we can add all the values by comma separated, just like this way, right? So content type, accept, authorization. This similar way also allow origin, a comma, the next origin also you can edit right there, right? As an example, localhost 3000, right? Then, but we don't wanna enable this localhost 3000 for a while. Maybe right before going to production, then we can add it right there. And allow header, you can see content type, accept, and authorization, right? So these are a couple of headers we have added. So why exactly the allow headers are strict right there? Because any potential any kind of injections or any kind of the unwanted call from any kind of client, then you can restrict right here inside the course configuration, right? And allow method, we can also define like what kind of methods we are going to allow for this particular server, right? And finally, this variable we are using right here, that is called app use this course configuration, right? So this is the way we are applying this course configuration in Fiverr, right? So now let's move forward and we are going to spin our application once again here, make server, right? Perfect. So now our application is spinning correctly, right? Now let's go back here and let's try to refresh once again here. And you can see already we have some data, right? So smartphone and smart TV, you might have remember in our previous episodes, we have already created our categories. So that's why those data are displaying right here. And these are a couple of products. If you click on the products, you can see this is iPhone, good iPhone with Android feature. This is really funny, but you can see the prices there and you can buy the product. So we're going to cover this buy product or add to cart feature later stage, and in the image also we are going to cover in later stage. Maybe in the next episode we are going to cover this image part, but so far you can see like all the categories are displaying, all the products are displaying, right? So once we click on the category, it is definitely we need to handle this one, right? So we are going to work shortly on this category section as well as while we are going to work on this cart section, right? But at least we can see some of the information it is displaying right here. So if you go here in the login, you can see once you hover to the login, right? And then you can see two features are there, login and sign up. So go to the user sign up here. And what we are going to do, we are going to sign up our user here, right? So let's try to put some kind of the email right here. So I'm going to say info@codewith.com, right? And phone number, I'm going to put some kind of random phone number. This is not actually my phone number, right? And password, you can put any kind of password, but let's go with some kind of simple. Now let's try to sign up our application. All right. So while we are calling our front end call, right? So there's a way we can investigate like whether our call is going correctly or what kind of logs we are getting it. So right click on the web page and go to inspect. There's a few tabs are there. You can see you can record our console, source, and network, memory, performance, application security. A lot of stuffs are there. All right. So we are only going to care about the console, right? And we are going to care about only network, right? So console, I have pretty much a couple of warnings from the material UI. Then definitely, like some of you may be expert on the front end stuff, then please go ahead and maybe edit this repository, right? Then you are free to do whatever modification is right there, right? And for the network side, we can see, like, you know, if we click on the all tab, then whatever the communications are going on right here, we can see everything. Yeah, HTTP calls or maybe socket IO calls or any type of calls, everything you can see right here, or maybe pushing or pulling some kind of data, everything you can get it. But only we are interested here in the paths and XHR. So this is going to help us to coordinate or maybe just like VigiLant all this HTTP calls, right? So whatever the HTTP calls we are going to make, those are the calls we can see right here in this tab, right? So let's try to click on the sign up. You can see it is instantly like saying sign up is going through correctly, right? And definitely we have some issues in the verify, that is we need to debug it. But you can see the register, we are perfectly accepting the correct response from the backend, right? You can see message is register and token is there, right? And if you go to application, then you can see, like, you know, token is already stored in our local storage, right? Now again, let's go to network and let's see, like, once you have registered correctly, then definitely the second step is to verify our phone number. So why verify is getting failed? So unable to generate the verification code. So something is going wrong. Definitely I need to look it back in our backend source code. So what is my understanding? Maybe my Twilio code has been expired. That's why maybe. Okay, so it says like this number is not valid, right? So that's really makes sense. So now can you see in the log this API error 21211? This is exactly it's occurring while we are providing some kind of invalid number, right? So because the Twilio is not be able to sending the SMS to this number because it doesn't have any country code, right? So what we understood here, while we are going to register any user, so make sure we are providing correct phone number, right? All right, then let's try to register one more user, right? So this time we are going to use some kind of actual phone number, right? So I'm gonna say admin at codej.com, right? So phone number, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my phone number here. So now let's try to hit the sign up button. Now can you see we are perfectly able to register right now. The verify the endpoint also getting called very nicely, right? And I have received one SMS in my mobile. Now let's try to enter that particular code right here, 887444, right? So this is the code that is I have received in my mobile, right? So let's try to submit. Now can you see phone number is verified successfully? So and you can see all the calls right after successfully verified. So these are the calls are went through. So this is verify call, right? So first one is like verify, it's getting the verification code, and second one is this is a kind of like call from our, I think, Stripe, because we have already integrated Stripe. So this is by default call. It's going to be it's every time while you are refresh the call, then definitely this call will go from Stripe. And next time you can see, like, as soon as we have posted our form, right? This is our payload. You can see only the code we have sent it right there in body, and header is like it's a kind of post call and user verify. As a response, we have received the verified successfully, and as soon as verified, it is redirecting me back to the home page that is called landing page. And now what we are going to do, let's try to refresh the page, right? So we have verified the page, then it is not getting called this profile page, right? So I will do the fix. That's not to worry. Maybe by the time watch your video, then you will get this fix right there. Right? Now you can see all the calls are going well, right? So let's go. I'm gonna close this one, right? So let's try to make it a little bit bigger, right? Now, if we go to the account, you can see we have our profile, we have our orders, we have our join seller program, right? So this is the flow exactly we are going to do, right? So let's try to log out from here. And if you click on the login, let's say, right, then we are going to use the same email ID that is we have used, right? That is called info plus, or maybe what was that? The admin at codewithjai.com, and password. Here is the password. Right, so sign in. All right, so now you can see, let's try to close everything. All right, so now you can see inside the account, I can see the join seller program. Then let's try to access the join seller program. So you can see in the become a seller, exactly it is giving this kind of interface, right? So where you can put your name and first name, last name. So let's try to peel it together. Right, so let's try to make it right. Phone number, we can put any kind of phone number, right? Then bank account number we can put, right? Then Swift code we can say Deutsche Bank, right? And address also you can edit right here, but in the address section we have not added anything, right? In the upcoming lectures we are going to cover this address part as well as, right? Now let's try to click on the join program, but let's try to inspect also. So at least we can determine like if anything goes wrong, we can track it right here, right? Cool. So it says like become seller is, you can see status is 200, right? And if you see the response exactly, this response is saying like become seller, and it is giving some kind of token, right? That token is exists that user type as well as. All right, so now we can see this is our seller dashboard where we can create our products and we can see our orders as well as. So as soon as our items, like whatever the products items we are going to create, all those items are ordered by a customer, then we can see the order items right here. So at least we can fulfill the order, right? So let's try to add some product here by clicking on this add product button, right? So here we need to fill the product name. So we can say, and here we can select the categories. So as you can see, only we have 2 categories, right? So let's select one of them, smart TV, and we can put a price as an example for a normal TV. Maybe it's going to be like $400, right? $400, quantity is 1, let's say, all right? Stock is 1, let's say. And we can upload the image as well as of now, this upload image is not going to work because we have not hooked up the upload feature to the ST bucket. In the next episode, we are going to cover that feature as well as, right? Now let's hit the create button. Right, so now product has been created, right? So let's try to create one more product. This will be like, so now we can see we can add the product, and let's go here and click on one of the product here, and let's try to change something right here, right? Let's say it increased to twice, right? The 800, and some of the information. Let's say great television in Europe, let's say, right? Let's say start. All right, let's save it. Can you see it is saved right here, right? All right, so now you can see we can edit the product, right? And a couple of more edge cases, maybe we can cover it in front end side, all right? And feel free to add all those stuff like if you like, but we are going to cover the basic functionalities, so at least we can accomplish the whole application flow, right? From the start to end, just like, you know, we can add the product, we can delete all the products, and we can add the product to the cart, and we can make the payment, we can ship the product. All those things we are going to cover. Now you can see we are perfectly able to create the product, right? So if you go again to the home page, then you can see the product is displaying right there, but somehow the title is not there. So we can debug it together. But let's go ahead here. Yeah, it is displaying right here, but why it is not displaying here? Maybe I need to fix this one. All right. But cool. So let's go to manage products, and let's try to delete one of them. Let's say delete this one, right? Then can you see it's gone, right? So this is the way we can handle all the product operations in terms of add, create, and delete, etc. Cool. So I hope now you understood like how the things gonna work. And if you go to profile, then we can just patch our profile and peel it out right there, right? If you go to home page here, so this tab, this deals we can patch it out from our backend also. While we are going to add our deals and promotion stuff, then it'll going to patch it from there directly from the API rather than hard coded, right? And these categories are already displaying. Like as soon as we are going to create the categories, it is going to be on display here, right? In the upcoming episode, we are going to cover a couple of more features. As an example, if you go to product, manage product, here you will get the options for editing the category or maybe adding the categories also. And we can update the stock as well as from here, right? Those are the things we are going to cover. And another thing we are going to cover, like while we are going to click on any product, add this product to the cart, and we can continue as a kind of customer, as a buyer, right? And we are going to work on our cart section, right, where we will be displaying the cart calculations and how we can keep track of all this cart calculation in the front end, and we can send it back to the back end to aggregate it. And finally we can make the payment in order to place the order. So whole cart to order flow, we are going to work on that, right? So I hope you like this video tutorial. If you really like this video tutorial, give me a thumbs up right there. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe it right away, because there are a lot of useful content I'm gonna put it in upcoming days. All right, then see you in another episode.